Some mornings feel like the world has cracked in half. The house is quieter than it should be. The ring mark on the nightstand feels like a scar. In America, more than half of marriages will know the taste of goodbye, and yet the sun still rises. This isn't the end of your story. It's the first blank page. 1. The first empty weekend. The first weekend alone isn't about calendars or grocery lists. It's about survival. Saturday used to have a rhythm, shared pancakes, her laugh echoing through the kitchen, 2 sets of shoes by the door. Now the silence hums louder than any argument you ever had. You wander the grocery store under fluorescent lights, a half-empty cart rolling beside you. Every aisle is a reminder. You used to know exactly what to buy. Her favorite cereal, the sauce she insisted on. Your hand hovers over the shelf, then drops. You pick up nothing. At home, you reach for your phone out of habit, a joke already forming on your tongue. But there's no one waiting for it now. Your thumb hesitates, and the silence feels heavier for a heartbeat. Yet even here, in the hollow of this moment, a fragile seed of freedom waits. Discipline doesn't roar. It whispers in small, almost invisible acts. It's in making your bed when no one will see it. It's in opening a window, letting in the crisp Portland air, even if you'd rather stay wrapped in stale warmth. It's in choosing a real meal, cutting vegetables, heating the pan, instead of eating whatever's easiest. These aren't grand gestures. They're little anchors, planted quietly against the drift. They're proof you're still capable of shaping your world. One deliberate choice after another, you remind yourself you are still here, and maybe, just maybe, that is enough for today. 2. Reclaiming the clock. After divorce, time becomes strange. It doesn't just pass, it stretches, wide and accusing, as if every blank hour is proof of what's been lost. The days feel longer, the nights even more so. When your life was shared, time was divided between 2 hearts. Now it's all yours, and instead of freedom, it can feel like an echo chamber. But here's the secret. Time is not your enemy, not unless you leave it empty. Take it back. Don't wait for someone else to fill the squares on your calendar. Fill them yourself. Map your mornings like an explorer charting new terrain. Decide when you'll rise, when you'll walk, when you'll feed your body something nourishing. Write it down. Post it where you'll see it. Schedule your workouts, not just for your body, but for your mind. Moving through the cold air, your lungs burning in the Denver winter, you'll feel the edge of despair soften. Commit to a bedtime, even if sleep doesn't come easy at first. Discipline isn't punishment, it's scaffolding, a framework that can hold you steady while you rebuild. Think of Matt in Austin. He didn't care much about woodworking, chairs, tables, dovetail joints. It wasn't his dream. But every Tuesday night, he showed up at that dusty community workshop. He sanded planks, learned the smell of cedar, and in the slow shaping of wood, the quiet inside him found company. It wasn't about the furniture, it was about rhythm, about routine stitching up the silence. The hours that once haunted you can become allies. A blank calendar isn't an accusation, it's an invitation. Fill it with walks under winter skies, calls to old friends, classes you've always wanted to try, and quiet mornings where you write 3 lines about anything at all. Over time, those small commitments become proof. Your life isn't over, it's under construction. And piece by piece, the clock becomes yours again. 3. The social gap and new circles. After divorce, friendships can become a fragile constellation. People you once shared dinners with may disappear, Not because they don't care, but because the balance has shifted. Couples you vacationed with might retreat, unsure of where to place you now. It stings. It feels like abandonment, but it isn't betrayal. It's gravity shifting, and you've been nudged into a new orbit. The loneliness can be sharp, a kind of quiet that seeps into everything. Isolation, though tempting, is a slow poison. The antidote is movement. Find new orbits. Step outside the familiar. Volunteer at the animal shelter, where wagging tails and grateful eyes remind you of uncomplicated love. Join the local hiking club, even if you're nervous about muddy boots and small talk. Sign up for that community pottery class or book club that's been on your someday list for years. Reaching out is risky. It's standing in a doorway with your heart exposed, not knowing if anyone will meet you halfway. But risk is the bridge back to connection. One Friday night in Minneapolis, Sarah, 42, shy, a recent divorcee, walked into a downtown poetry reading alone. Her palms were damp. She almost turned back twice. But she stayed. She listened. She laughed at a line of verse that caught her off guard. By the end of the night, she was sharing nachos with 3 strangers who, months later, now fill her Sundays with laughter and light. Discipline isn't only alarm clocks and calendars, it's the quiet bravery of showing up where you are unknown. It's sending the message to a coworker, "Want to grab lunch?" even if your voice shakes. It's sitting at that cafe in Seattle, waiting for the meetup group you're not sure you'll like. And when the door opens, it's choosing to stay seated, shoulders back, heart open. Because somewhere in that room, in a laugh or a kind glance, the beginnings of your next circle of belonging are waiting, and they're worth every nervous heartbeat. 4. The emotional low point. There will be nights when the quiet feels brutal, the kind of silence that hums in your bones, heavy and merciless. You'll lie awake staring at the ceiling, every mistake you've ever made replaying in loops. You'll curse the decisions that brought you here, question your worth and, strangely, miss even the arguments that once left you shattered. At least anger had a heartbeat. Now there's only this stillness that feels like it might swallow you whole. This is the low tide. It's the moment when many people quit on themselves, not because they're weak, but because grief is exhausting. It wears you down until even hope feels like too much effort. But tides by their nature turn. The water always comes back. The sky doesn't stay grey forever. Remember Nora's line, "Even winter knows the promise of spring." Those words aren't poetry for someone else. They're a lifeline for you. When the surge of anger or grief feels too big for your chest, give it somewhere to go. Pick up a pen and write until the paper crumples beneath your tears. Don't worry about sentences making sense. Just empty the ache onto the page. Or lace up your shoes and run into the rain, your breath tearing at your lungs, your heart pounding a rhythm that reminds you you're still alive. Breathe. Slow, deliberate, defiant. Pain is not a permanent resident. It's a visitor, loud and demanding, but temporary. It will leave when its work is done. Tonight's darkness isn't a verdict. It's a passage. The rain outside, relentless now, will ease by morning. And just beyond the storm's edge, small and stubborn, the first light waits. One day soon you'll catch yourself laughing again, an unplanned, unguarded sound. It won't erase the hurt, but it will remind you the tide has turned, and so have you. 5. Building new rituals. Rituals are quiet magic, the kind that stitches torn edges without anyone noticing. In the aftermath of divorce, when days can feel shapeless and nights too long, Small, sacred moments become your compass. They don't have to be grand, they just have to be yours. Brew coffee at dawn, not because anyone is waiting for you to pour a second cup, but because the aroma rising from the mug feels like a promise whispered to your own heart. Open a novel and read 3 pages before the world fully wakes. Lose yourself for a few stolen minutes in someone else's story. Those pages are more than words. They're stepping stones across the emptiness. On the way home from work, take the long route that follows the river. Park the car, roll down the window, and watch the water slide beneath the bridge. Let the current remind you that nothing stays still forever. Not pain, not loneliness, not even this chapter of your life. Mark your calendar for Sunday evening calls with your sister in Chicago, or a friend in Phoenix, or the cousin you always meant to reconnect with. Let their voices wrap around you like familiar quilts. These small connections, repeated, become anchors. Rituals don't erase what's gone. They build what's next. Lighting a candle at night, writing a single sentence in your journal, even on days when words feel heavy, playing the same song as you make dinner. At first, these actions might feel like coping mechanisms, a way to keep from unraveling. But with time, they transform. Weeks pass. The coffee doesn't taste like survival anymore. It tastes like sunrise. The river view becomes a moment of gratitude, not longing. The phone calls shift from lifelines to simple joys. These small, deliberate choices weave themselves into stability. They remind you that life's meaning isn't always found in sweeping gestures or grand plans. It's in the quiet, consistent rhythms you claim for yourself. And one day, without even noticing, you'll realize you're not just coping, you're living. 6. Integrating discipline with dreams. Stability isn't the finish line. It's the solid ground beneath your feet, the platform that allows you to dream again. After divorce, it's easy to believe dreaming belongs to another version of you, the one who planned futures with someone else. But your dreams aren't gone. They've just been waiting for you to come back. Pull out the goals you tucked away when compromise or routine buried them. Maybe it's finishing that degree you abandoned mid-semester because life got complicated. Maybe it's starting the small business you sketched out on napkins but never dared to begin. Maybe it's planning that solo trip down Route 66, the kind of adventure that reminds you the horizon is wider than heartbreak. Discipline gives these dreams a container sturdy enough to hold them. Without structure, inspiration drifts and hope feels fragile. With structure, budget plans, calendars, small weekly actions, your hopes have walls to lean on. Consider James in Phoenix. Every Friday, no matter how tight the week's expenses, he slipped $20 into a mason jar labeled Colorado Sunrise. Some weeks it felt laughable, a gesture too small to matter. But week after week, the jar filled. 2 years later, James stood on a mountain ridge in Colorado, the sunrise igniting the sky in oranges and golds. He breathed in thin, cold air and realized that order and hope, working quietly together, had built a miracle. That's what discipline does. It turns fragile wishes into sturdy plans. Hang the vision board where you'll see it every day. Let the photos and notes whisper to you, reminding you of the life you still want to build. Then take one small step toward it. Sign up for the evening class. Research the business license. Call the shelter about that puppy. Dreaming again isn't reckless. It's the most disciplined thing you can do. Stability is not the end of the road. It's the beginning of a map only you can draw. Closing, the quiet strength. You are not defined by what walked away. The story of your life won't be written in absence, but in what you chose to build afterward. Rebuilding isn't a fireworks display. It's quiet, deliberate, almost invisible to everyone but you. It's packing a lunch on a Sunday night, even when your heart still feels hollow. It's tying your sneakers and stepping onto the treadmill on mornings when gravity seems stronger. It's saying yes to a neighbor's barbecue, even when the idea of small talk makes your chest tighten. These small choices are bricks. They're the foundation of the life you're crafting in silence.